New York City in the 1930s and 40s, a melting pot of cultures, a city of dreams and struggles. The Great Depression gripped the nation. Its effects were felt deeply in the crowded tenements of the Lower East Side. Jewish immigrants, many fleeing persecution in Europe, sought a better life. Little did they know a new threat was emerging. Meyer Lansky, a name whispered in hushed tones and spoken with a mix of fear and respect. Born in Grodno, Russia in 1902, he arrived in New York as a child. The streets of the Lower East Side became his school. He learned to fight before he could read. Lansky rose through the ranks of the Jewish underworld. He was a strategist, a thinker, not just a brawler. His sharp mind and sharper elbows earned him a place at the table with the likes of Lucky Luciano and Bugsy Siegel. But Lansky never forgot where he came from. The plight of his fellow Jews, facing a new wave of hatred, would become his personal crusade. When his family arrived in New York, they were just one of many immigrant families seeking a better life. They settled in the crowded tenements of the Lower East Side, a melting pot of cultures and a breeding ground for ambition. Young Meyer observed the hustle and bustle, the struggles and the triumphs of those around him. Though he attended school, it was the streets that truly educated him. Street fights and gang activities were a daily reality, and Lansky quickly learned to navigate this dangerous world. He formed alliances, understanding the power of loyalty and the importance of strategy. His early criminal activities were small-time, but they laid the foundation for his future empire. As he rose in the underworld, Lansky's reputation grew. He was known for his strategic mind, often outthinking his rivals and staying one step ahead of the law. His partnerships with figures like Lucky Luciano and Bugsy Siegel were not just about power, but about vision. Lansky envisioned a more organized, efficient form of crime, one that operated like a business. His influence reshaped the underworld, making it more structured and less chaotic. Despite his criminal activities, Lansky was also known for his philanthropic efforts. He used his resources to help Jewish communities both in America and abroad. During World War II, Lansky's efforts to combat anti-Semitism became even more pronounced. His legacy is a complex one, marked by both his criminal enterprises and his dedication to his people. In his later years, Lansky faced numerous legal battles, but he remained a figure of intrigue and respect. Meyer Lansky's impact on history is undeniable, a testament to his intelligence, resilience, and unwavering loyalty to his roots. Across the ocean, Hitler's grip on Europe tightened. His poisonous ideology found fertile ground even in America. The German American Bund, a pro-Nazi organization, emerged in the 1930s. They held rallies, spread propaganda, and preached hate against Jews. New York City, with its large Jewish population, became a target. The Bund held rallies in Madison Square Garden, draped in swastikas, spewing venom. Fear and anger simmered in Jewish neighborhoods. Yorkville in the Upper East Side was a stronghold of German immigrants. Many sympathized with the Nazi regime. The Bund held meetings there, often turning violent. Jewish businesses were vandalized, synagogues were defaced, the streets weren't safe. Lansky, witnessing this rising tide of hatred, couldn't stand idly by. He remembered the pogroms of his childhood, the terror inflicted upon Jews in Europe. He knew this poison had to be stopped before it spread. Section 5, Rumble on the East River. Word reached Lansky of a Bund rally planned at a beer hall in Yorkville. This wasn't just about speeches and intimidation. This was a call to action. Lansky gathered a crew of his toughest men. They were Jewish boys like him who had learned to fight on the streets. They descended upon the beer hall armed with whatever they could find: pipes, bats, their bare fists. The brawl was brutal, chaotic. The Nazis, taken aback by the ferocity of the attack, were ill-prepared. Section 6, Fighting for Respect, Fighting for Survival. This wasn't just about breaking bones, it was about breaking the Nazis' spirit, showing them that Jews would not be intimidated. Lansky and his men fought with a fury fueled by generations of oppression. They fought for their families, their community, their very right to exist. The police arrived, sirens wailing, the brawl spilled onto the streets. Arrests were made on both sides, but the message was clear. Jewish New Yorkers would not be easy targets. Section 7, The Law and the Outlaw. In the turbulent era of the 1930s, the lines between right and wrong were often blurred. The streets were filled with the echoes of sirens and the shadows of those who lived on the edge of society. Lansky's actions were illegal, no doubt. He was deeply entrenched in the world of organized crime, orchestrating operations that defied the law at every turn. His name was synonymous with the underworld, a figure both feared and respected. He was a gangster operating outside the law. Yet his story was not just one of crime and corruption, it was also a tale of defiance and resilience. Lansky navigated a world where the legal system often failed to protect the vulnerable. But in a time when the legal system seemed powerless against the rising tide of hate, he took a stand. The 1930s were marked by a surge in anti-Semitic sentiment, and many Jewish communities found themselves under threat. The authorities, either unwilling or unable to act, left these communities to fend for themselves. He became a symbol of resistance, a protector of his people. Lansky's actions, though outside the bounds of the law, were driven by a sense of duty and justice. He organized defenses, provided protection, and ensured that his community could stand strong against the forces that sought to harm them. The Jewish community, living in fear, saw him as a hero. In their eyes, Lansky was not just a criminal, he was a savior. His willingness to fight back gave them hope and courage in a time of darkness. He was their shield, their avenger. Lansky's actions spoke louder than words. He showed that even in the face of overwhelming odds, one could stand up and make a difference. His legacy was one of bravery and defiance. Lansky, though a criminal in the eyes of the law, understood a deeper law, the law of survival, the duty to protect one's own. He knew that sometimes, to uphold justice, one had to step outside the conventional boundaries. His story is a reminder that the lines between right and wrong are not always clear, and that sometimes the outlaw can be the true hero. Section 8, a community's protector. Word of Lansky's exploits spread. He became a folk hero, his name whispered with admiration and gratitude. His actions resonated beyond the Jewish community. They stood as a testament to the idea that even in the face of overwhelming odds, one must fight for what is right. Lansky continued to use his resources and influence to combat anti-Semitism. He donated to Jewish causes, provided protection to synagogues, and even used his underworld connections to disrupt Nazi activities. Section 9. Fading ink, enduring legacy. Meyer Lansky's story is a complex one, a blend of darkness and light. Born in the early 20th century, Lansky rose from the gritty streets of New York City to become one of the most influential figures in organized crime. His journey was marked by a series of paradoxes that continue to intrigue historians and the public alike. He was a gangster, a product of his environment. The harsh realities of immigrant life in the Lower East Side shaped his early years, pushing him towards a life of crime. Yet Lansky was not just any gangster. He was a mastermind, a strategist who understood the complexities of the underworld like no other. But he was also a man of conviction, driven by a deep sense of loyalty to his heritage. His Jewish roots played a significant role in his life, influencing his decisions and actions. Lansky's commitment to his community was unwavering, and he often used his influence to protect and support his fellow Jews. His fight against Nazis in New York City, though often overlooked, is a testament to his character. During World War II, Lansky and his associates took a stand against the rise of fascism, organizing efforts to combat Nazi sympathizers in the city. This lesser-known chapter of his life reveals a man who, despite his criminal activities, was willing to risk everything for a cause he believed in. The ink on the history books may fade, but Lansky's legacy endures. His story is a reminder that history is not always black and white. The complexities of his life challenge us to look beyond the surface and understand the multifaceted nature of human behavior. He reminds us that even in the darkest of times, courage can come from unexpected places. Lansky's actions during the war, his loyalty to his heritage, and his strategic brilliance all paint a picture of a man who was much more than just a criminal. He was a figure of resilience and determination, someone who navigated the murky waters of morality with a unique sense of purpose. And that sometimes the line between good and evil is not so easily drawn. Lansky's life forces us to confront the uncomfortable truth that morality is often a spectrum, and individuals can embody both good and evil. His enduring legacy serves as a powerful reminder of the complexities of human nature and the indelible marks we leave on history. Section 10. Echoes of a Fighter. Today, as we grapple with the resurgence of intolerance and hate, Lansky's story serves as a reminder. A reminder that silence is not an option, that we must stand up to bigotry in all its forms, and that sometimes it takes a tough Jew to fight for what's right. Lansky's story, though set in a specific time and place, carries a universal message. It's a message of courage, resilience, and the unbreakable spirit of a people determined to survive and thrive.